July 5, 2017. In Bangkok, a 25-year-old millionaire hears a crash outside his mansion gates. For 3 years, this young man, known only as Alpha-02, has ruled a billion-dollar criminal empire on the dark web. He believes he's untouchable, hidden behind screens and encryption. But in seconds, he'll be tackled, handcuffed because a trap is springing shut around the dark web's most powerful man. Will his empire come crashing down with him? And how did he rise so far and fall so fast? It's the mid-2010s, and the hidden corners of the internet are booming. Thanks to tools that promise anonymity and cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, a new underworld economy has exploded online. The infamous Silk Road marketplace, we talked about it in a previous video, was shut down in 2013, but its demise only inspired a wave of successors on the dark web, each vying for the vacant throne. One of these upstarts was about to outshine all the others. In late 2014, a mysterious figure calling himself Alpha-02 launched a marketplace named AlphaBay. It started quietly, specializing in stolen credit card data. But Alpha-02 had far bigger ambitions. Soon, AlphaBay became a one-stop black market for almost anything: narcotics, hacked personal data, weapons, malware, you name it. The site was slick and user-friendly, like an Amazon for illicit goods. Alpha-02 even built in special features to keep users anonymous: Bitcoin tumblers that laundered transactions, and support for new privacy-focused coins like Monero. Few things were forbidden on AlphaBay. Notably, the site banned any content involving child exploitation and even forbade selling stolen information from Russian banks or citizens. Perhaps Alpha-02 wanted to avoid provoking Russian authorities, or to pretend he was Russian to mislead investigators. AlphaBay's rise was meteoric. While competitor sites imploded from exit scams, hacks, or police raids, AlphaBay kept growing bigger and richer. By late 2015, it had over 200,000 users and tens of thousands of vendors hawking illegal wares. By 2017, it dwarfed every other illicit market in history, with over 300,000 listings and transactions exceeding $600,000 every single day. It was easily 10 times larger than Silk Road had ever been. Every deal earned Alpha-02 a commission of 2% to 4%. The money poured in, making the faceless admin behind AlphaBay fabulously wealthy. Behind the scenes, Alpha-02 assembled a crew to run his empire: tech engineers, moderators to resolve disputes, even a public relations manager. He appointed a trusted lieutenant known as Snake to act as AlphaBay's public spokesperson on forums and handle day-to-day communications. Meanwhile, the kingpin himself faded into the background, renaming his account simply Admin and rarely communicating directly. Alpha-02 believed these layers of secrecy would keep him safe, a ghost in the machine, pulling the strings from the shadows. And for a while, it worked. As AlphaBay dominated the dark web, its mastermind remained nothing but a username. But with every kingpin's rise comes the full attention of international law enforcement. Authorities around the world had taken notice of AlphaBay's astounding success and the flood of drugs and crime it facilitated. Who was the powerful figure behind this darknet empire, and how long could he remain untouchable? Despite AlphaBay's notorious presence, investigators were essentially chasing a phantom. The entire platform operated on the Tor network, meaning its servers and users were cloaked behind layers of encryption and rerouted traffic. They couldn't simply trace an IP address to find Alpha-02. That information was hidden by design. To the FBI, DEA, and others, it felt like chasing a shadow. AlphaBay's servers bounced across anonymous Tor relays, and its cryptocurrency transactions were obscured by mixers and privacy coins. Every investigative lead seemed to hit a wall. Was this criminal mastermind truly invisible? Investigators resorted to old-fashioned legwork. Undercover agents made test buys and managed to bust a few low-level vendors, but nothing led them any closer to Alpha-02. After 2 years of fruitless hunting, some investigators wondered if he was simply untraceable. Then, in December 2016, the case was cracked open by an unlikely breakthrough. One morning, a DEA agent received an anonymous email that made his jaw drop. The sender claimed Alpha-02 had made a fatal mistake in AlphaBay's early days. When the site first launched, every new user got a welcome message via email, and buried in the metadata of one such email was the true sender's address. It was an oversight that had been corrected quickly, but not before someone noticed. That someone had saved the email for over 2 years. Now they handed it to law enforcement on a silver platter. The hidden address read, pimppunchalex91, hotmail.com. It seemed almost too good to be true. Could the secretive AlphaZo2 really have used an address like that? pimpalex91 sounded more like a teenager's gamer tag than the head of a sprawling crime empire. But agents weren't about to ignore it. They launched an open-source intelligence blitz, and sure enough, that unusual email led to an old online footprint. On a forgotten French social network, they found a profile for an Alex tied to pimpalex91. On a tech forum, they discovered an account named AlphaZo2 from 2008, where the user had posted computer help advice, signing off with the same Hotmail address and a full name, Alexandre Cazes. It was the eureka moment they had been waiting for. The mysterious AlphaZo2 finally had a real name and face. The anonymous tipster's identity has never been revealed. Some suspect it was a rival dark web admin who wanted to eliminate the competition. Others think it might have been a former associate of Cazes with an axe to grind. Whoever it was, their one act of betrayal set the downfall of AlphaBay into motion. With Cazes' name in hand, agents rapidly pulled more threads. They found a LinkedIn and personal website for an Alexandre Cazes, a young Canadian tech entrepreneur. He had started a web design business as a teen and looked on paper like a legitimate IT professional. Crucially, they discovered he was living in Bangkok, Thailand, and was engaged to a Thai woman. This matched other clues the team had gathered. The Phantom was emerging from the shadows. Working with Thai authorities, a joint task force began surveilling Cazes in Bangkok. What they uncovered was astonishing. This 25-year-old Canadian, far from laying low, was living like a rock star in the land of smiles. He owned a palatial home in an upscale gated community and multiple other houses around the city, one unofficially dubbed the Bachelor Pad, where he entertained girlfriends away from his wife. He drove a Lamborghini through the city, flaunted watches, and even traveled with bodyguards. But every move he made was now being watched. To his neighbors, he was just a wealthy foreign businessman. They had no idea his fortune came from hosting a global bazaar of crime on the dark web. Agents also learned Cazes was active on an online pickup artist forum under the alias Romeo. In posts, he bragged about his wealth and success with women, an arrogant playboy persona. This was a man brimming with confidence, clearly believing he was beyond the reach of law enforcement in Thailand. But all the while, the noose was tightening around him. Surveillance teams tracked his every move. They noted his routines. When he woke up, when he went out, when he was likely online managing AlphaBay. The challenge was catching him red-handed and securing the digital evidence before he could destroy it. In one close call, agents at a hotel lounge saw Cazes stroll in unexpectedly. He didn't notice them, but it was a stark reminder that they had to act fast. After months of preparation, the task force was ready to make its move. His freedom was slipping. But could they catch him before he wiped everything clean? By mid-2017, law enforcement from around the globe had secretly united to take down AlphaBay and its phantom kingpin. The Americans, Europeans, and Thai authorities formed an alliance dubbed Operation Bayonet. The strategy was multifaceted and daring. Not only would they target Alexandre Cazes himself, but they aimed to dismantle the entire AlphaBay marketplace in one sweep. And they had an ingenious twist, turning AlphaBay's demise into bait for a second catch. Meanwhile, European investigators had secretly taken control of another market called Hansa. The plan was cunning. Strike AlphaBay first and keep its shutdown secret so that its users would flee to Hansa, a site now quietly run by police. After a few weeks of watching criminals flock to this honeypot and incriminate themselves, the agents would shut down Hansa too. It was a 1-2 punch designed to deal a massive blow to the dark web. In Bangkok, the day of reckoning arrived on July 5, 2017. Early that morning, a team of Royal Thai police officers, joined by FBI and DEA agents, moved into position around Cazes' mansion. They knew the suspect's daily pattern, and that around 8 a.m. he'd be online. To catch him, they needed to get him away from his keyboard with no warning. The plan was audacious: stage a minor car accident at his gate to lure him outside. A female officer volunteered to be the decoy. She got into a gray Toyota Camry and drove toward Cazes' residence on the quiet cul-de-sac. Right in front of his property, she deliberately rammed her sedan into Cazes' front gate. The crash wasn't serious, but it was loud enough to startle the entire neighborhood. Cazes took the bait, hurrying outside with his phone while leaving his computer unlocked upstairs. As he approached the distraught driver, the trap was sprung. A swarm of armed officers appeared from hiding and sprinted toward him. In a split second, Cazes realized what was happening. He turned and bolted back toward his open doorway, desperate to reach the laptop that held all the evidence of his crimes. If he could just hit a kill switch or slam the lid shut, he might encrypt everything and thwart the raid. But he didn't get the chance. Thai police tackled him to the ground just steps from his door. At the same time, another team dashed inside the house. Racing past luxury decor, they found the office where Cazes' laptop sat running. It was logged in, unencrypted, and still connected to AlphaBay's admin interface, exactly what the agents needed. Within minutes, the dark web's most powerful man was in handcuffs, and his digital empire was at the mercy of law enforcement. Technicians copied data from the live laptop and secured multiple passwords, private keys, and server locations. The arrest had gone as perfectly as anyone could hope. Cazes was whisked away by Thai police, and authorities swiftly began seizing his assets around the world. They froze his bank accounts and cryptocurrency wallets, hauled away his luxury cars, and seized caches of cash, gold, and real estate documents from his properties. The lavish life of Alpha 02 was over. However, the mission wasn't finished. The takedown of AlphaBay needed to remain secret just a little longer to execute Phase 2. That same day, July 5th, AlphaBay's site suddenly went dark. Thousands of criminals across the globe panicked as their go-to marketplace vanished without explanation. On dark web forums, users frantically speculated, was it an exit scam or a law enforcement raid? With no answers, paranoia grew. Tens of thousands of AlphaBay's displaced users migrated to Hansa, not knowing it was under police surveillance. To the dark web community, it seemed like business as usual. One market fell, another rose. In reality, they were marching straight into a trap. For 2 weeks, this deception held. Agents quietly mined Cazes' laptop data, while Dutch police observed Hansa's booming business, collecting mountains of evidence. Then, on July 20th, 2017, the endgame came. Officials finally announced the takedowns of both AlphaBay and Hansa in coordinated press releases. It was, they declared, the largest dark web bust in history, a watershed victory that yielded a treasure trove of criminal evidence. The dark web's most infamous market was no more, and its once untouchable boss was behind bars. The kingpin was gone, but AlphaBay's fall was just the first explosion. What would rise from the ashes? AlphaBay's collapse sent shockwaves through the criminal underground. In the immediate aftermath, chaos reigned. Countless deals were left in limbo, and millions in cryptocurrency were seized. When the truth was revealed, a wave of paranoia swept through the underworld. Many who flocked to Hansa realized they had walked into a trap. Police worldwide used the Hansa data to launch investigations and arrest scores of traffickers who had thought themselves safe. Yet, just as before, the takedown of one giant market created opportunities for others. The appetite for anonymous illegal trade did not disappear. By 2018 and 2019, new marketplaces were on the rise. The most notorious was a Russia-based platform called Hydra, which eventually grew even larger than AlphaBay. Hydra became the reigning dark web bazaar, showing how whenever one empire falls, another rises. Hydra itself was finally taken down in 2022 by yet another international sting, proving the game of cat and mouse never ends. In an unexpected twist, the AlphaBay saga itself wasn't completely over. In late 2021, the marketplace's name was resurrected on the dark web. A figure calling himself The Snake, allegedly Alpha 02's old second-in-command, relaunched the site, and vowed to restore its glory. He boasted stronger security measures to make the new AlphaBay more resilient. Whether this really was the original D-Snake or an imposter, the message was clear. The legacy of AlphaBay still loomed large, and some criminals were eager to pick up where Cazes left off. It was a bold taunt to law enforcement, signaling that even after Alpha-02's downfall, the dark web's underworld was far from defeated. The rise and fall of Alexandre Cazes is a cautionary tale of greed and hubris on the internet's hidden stage. In just a few years, he went from small-time techie to the king of the dark web, amassing untold wealth. But he flew too close to the sun. His arrogance led to careless mistakes. A forgotten email here, a boastful post there, that ultimately gave him away. When Thai authorities locked Cazes in a cell after his arrest, the reality of his situation must have set in. 1 week later, on July 12, 2017, Alexandre Cazes was found dead in that jail cell, an apparent suicide. He thought he'd built something untouchable. But at 25 years old, the dark web's king had lost everything. AlphaBay's king fell, but his downfall lit the fuse for the next era of the dark web. In this shadowy world, empires rise overnight and fall in acts of hubris and betrayal. And as long as demand remains, the dark web's throne will never remain empty.